Hello. Well, here we are again. You and me and a lot of ink. So, I hope that you are ready to spill some ink, to spread some ink. I already have ink on my hands. Boy, I can't wait until November when I can wash my hands. Just kidding. I wash my hands at least once a week. All right. Waiting for people to show up. So far, nobody has. Show up. Interesting. Well, let's just hang out for a little bit. Christina's here. All right, good. And Gail. So technology is working. Thank you. Thank you, oh technology gods, for making it possible for my electrons to stream through the tubes and reach you. Christina, Gail, Allie. Self-care Sunday. Does that mean you have like cucumber slices on your eyes right now? And a mask? Sharon, hello. It is 1:30 here. And it's Sunday afternoon. It's very pleasant here. And Rachel is here. And Sandra, hello. Finally, she got a notification. Congratulations, that's very good. Karen from Denmark and Christine. Good. Colleen, happy birthday. Well, I'm so glad that we get to spend some time together on your birthday. So 19. I hope you're not having an Arctic birthday, are you? Maybe you'll have some ice cream. Let's leave it at that. A few cold beverages. Allie's just wearing PJs, not a mask. All right, very well. I am wearing just this mask. This cheap old Halloween mask that I keep pulling out of the closet and putting back on. Pernille from Denmark, hello. It's nice to see you. Kate, of course, has been here and done that. Jane is ready for some self-care Sunday. What do you do on self-care Sunday? To me, every day is self-care day. That's why I look like this. I mean, I'm 37 and I look, it's all the skincare routine that's done so much for me. Kenza, I want to give you an official hello as well. So we're all on the same page. So yes, yesterday we drew some dogs playing cards. That was deal. Deborah's here. Hello. And Casey sliding in from Colorado. And Michael from Italy. In Italy, it must almost be time for dinner, right? It must be 10 p.m. No? Here in Phoenix, we eat dinner at like 4 o'clock. Anything that brings you joy is self-care. Honestly, okay. Well, then I'm going to apply an ink mask because to me, ink brings me joy. So October is a great month. And Susan, hello. So, all right, so let's talk about stuff. Today, here's the prompts, and today's prompt is number 19, Arctic. Arctic. I thought a lot about Arctic. I had a whole bunch of ideas. Should I tell you what they are? Because I'm not doing any of them. I decided that I've been thinking too much. I've been trying to be, I've enjoyed it, but I've gone through this. I began with the first few days that I'll call like the sort of self-conscious days, where I was worried that I needed to make something that felt like art. And then I've gone through a period of like increasingly making cartoons almost. Enjoying drawing them, don't get me wrong, but thinking about a concept, trying to be clever, which is my curse. So Arctic, you know, we talked about a bunch of things yesterday, and for a while I was thinking I was going to do, and in fact I even did a couple of preparatory sketches that I won't bother sharing with you. I thought it would be interesting to do an ice machine outside of a gas station convenience store here in Phoenix. So in the corner you'd see some of the desert and maybe an old pickup truck, mountains. But then there would be this big thing that said ice. And I worked on it for a little while and then I was like, there we go. Great minds think alike. Yes. Oh, it is 10 o'clock. Okay, good. Good. I was joking, but yeah. So I thought about that and then I was like, I don't know if that's what I want to draw. Honestly, it ended up being like a bunch of squares and lines. It just didn't feel like it would be that much fun. I mentioned to JJ and she said, a polar bear. And I said, yeah, I don't know if I can spend a lot of time drawing a polar bear though. Deborah Underwood just became a member. That's also, I think you're the first person to become a member during one of these live streams. Is that possible? Maybe. Lucretia did draw a polar bear peeping above ice. Oh, white ink on pale pink paper. That's nice. That I'm sure looked great. And Margaret is in a chilly London. It's not too chilly here. It's 86 degrees, so it's warm. So anyway, so I went through this for a while, and then I thought, I'm just going to draw a puffin because puffins are cute. And I looked at puffins and I was like, man, I don't know if I can spend that much time drawing a puffin. So I decided, again, it's not terribly imaginative, but I decided that I would just draw a whole bunch of different Arctic animals. That's going to be my thing. So I'm going to draw, as Sandra says, a polar bear. I'm going to draw a polar bear. This is my list, okay? I'm going to draw a puffin. I'm going to draw a polar bear. I'm going to draw a musk ox, because they're really cool looking. An Arctic hare. A caribou. A walrus. So there you go. Kate did an Arctic tern. Well, one good turn deserves another. I am polar bear playing hockey. See, that's the thing is I've decided I want to just focus on not thinking about an idea. I just want to focus on a drawing experience. And because I'm greedy, I don't know that I can spend the whole time drawing a puffin, but I'm going to start drawing a puffin. And then I'm going to start drawing this puffin, and then after a while, I'll know that I have other animals in reserve, so I don't have to get like too fiddly about it. Then I also started thinking, I've been doing the same technique increasingly. Like I haven't even been doing cross-hatching, I've just been drawing with the Tombow Funisuke and then doing some sumi ink on top of it and then maybe a bit of white pen. So I've been doing that now for probably 15 of the 17 to 18 days, I think. So today maybe I'll do something different. I just experimented with a dip pen, just thinking maybe if I change the ink away from India ink and try some other stuff on this paper. But sure enough, it started to bleed through. And it just started to get spidery, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. Penguins are Antarctic. Yeah. Isn't that Antarctic? Isn't Arctic Antarctic? I mean, to me, Arctic, that was the other thing, okay? I started thinking about Arctic as a term. Like you could have an Arctic relationship with somebody, you know? It's an adjective. So I don't know that we have to be super strict about it. Yeah, okay. I'm glad that you're a seal. Yeah. No, I don't want to draw a seal. I told you yesterday about my traumatic experience with smelling seals. Not smelling salts, but smelling seals. Again, eating ice cream, floating about on an iceberg. I don't think so. I think, have I ever used Micron PN pens? I mean, I've used certainly lots of different kinds of Micron pens. What are PM pens? Tell me more about that. I don't know what that is. Arctic, Antarctic tomato, frozen tomato. It's true. So the Arctic is north. Is that necessary? But again, stick with me. Arctic as an adjective. Arctic. But maybe when it comes to animals, you've got to be literal. So, a black cold heart. Yeah. Arctic. There are Arctic wolves. But I've narrowed it down to these 6. Mainly because I like the look of them. I don't really like the look of wolves that much. And particularly since I just drew dogs. Was it yesterday? Yeah. Oh, and I also had an idea of drawing a particular Arctic explorer. Let me see if I can pull that picture up, because it was a pretty good picture, and it's still conceivable. Just have a look at this. What do you think? JJ's not here. I can draw a guy with a big beard and a mustache. And I had another picture of him too, here. Look at how good he looks. Wait, let me fit my face in between the 2 of them. What do you think? Yeah, so I was kind of thinking, But then I thought, no, I changed my mind about it. So, bye. That's Admiral Peary, I think. So yes, seals with deodorant. I like it. That's very good. Very good. It has a hard plastic nib. Yeah, I'll try one. I'll try it out. Why not? Okay. All right. I'm just drawing a puffin. To hell with a discussion about this anymore. I'm drawing a puffin. You know, puffins always make me think about books. Because when I was a kid, I of course loved books. And there's that whole series of books there's penguin books, which of course are great. And so I'm just looking at a piece of reference. This is some random picture of a puffin that I pulled up. So I'm not going to give it to you. You can certainly get your own damn puffin. But anyway, so puffins were the kids' version of penguin books. Man, I used to love penguin books. I had a whole shelf. Who's coming in? Twiglet. I had a whole shelf of penguin books and pelican books. Pelican, yeah, those are the blue ones. History, green, I forget what those were called. So yeah, lots of different colors and categories. There was the orange and white ones that were the penguins. And then the light blue ones were the puffins. And as I was looking for my picture of a puffin today to draw from, you know how Google has like questions that people have asked? And you know what the first question was that came up? Can you eat a puffin? Eat one. Does it look like something you'd want to eat? Anyway, the answer was yes, you can, and people do. In, I think it was it Norway? Maybe it was Iceland. People do eat them, but it's increasingly frowned upon because people think that they're just cute. So try to avoid eating them, okay? eat a muskox instead. They have this little thing here. You can't tell from this, but it's bright yellow for some reason. It's like a little, I don't know what it is. It's like a little brain almost. So this guy has lots of different colors on him. I have to figure out how to indicate these different colors. But yeah, they do, of course, fly, unlike penguins. Do you remember there was a movie a long time ago that was like about emperor penguins? The March of the Penguins, it was called. And it was about how incredibly arduous it is for penguins to lay eggs. And, you know, the father penguin stands there through horrible weather, standing there with the egg balanced on his feet. I forget what the march was. I guess do they travel around this way? I don't remember that part of it. I mean, it was a really long time ago, that movie. It's one of the sort of like Oscar-winning nature documentaries. It was quite a success. I mean, I think a lot of people were very, very into these emperor penguins. At least they were very trendy. I think it was a fairly easy Halloween costume to put together. Just put on a tuxedo, stand on an egg. There you go, puffin. From your perspective, does architectural sketching have its own techniques? I guess. I mean, architectural, if you're talking about just like conceptual sketching, like coming up with ideas, I mean, I certainly think that there's a look to architectural drawing, you know, and a lot of it has to do with the lettering. Architects have the most fantastic handwriting a lot of times. But, you know, and then I think that there's certainly, you know, if you're making like real architectural plans or something like that, then you have to be very, very particular, and you have to draw just more of an engineering drawing, you know, where you have to. I mean, I have a friend who is a landscape architect, and he hand draws all of his plans, and they're just beautiful. So, yeah, I don't have a strong opinion about that, honestly, but you can certainly tell when an architect drew something. There's definitely a look to architects' drawings. A lot of architects misdrawing. A lot of them went into architecture loving drawing, and they end up sitting in a computer all day. So I often talk to architects who are like, oh, I wish I could get back to drawing. Are there any Arctic plants? Good question. I mean, certainly there must be, because I don't know. I don't know much about it. Arctic is an ocean, true, surrounded by continents, and Antarctica is a continent surrounded by oceans. Thank you, Google. Arctic fox or a husky would work instead of all wolves, true? Yeah, but I am now going to draw, a polar bear, but I'm going to draw him small. So I'm going to kind of mess with the proportions here. I made his eyes a little big. There are, or used to be, polar bear, more than one maybe, in the Central Park Zoo. Seems like a really bad idea in retrospect. It's not where a polar bear belongs. He was in a not very nice enclosure. He used to swim back and forth. He did have water to swim in, but this didn't seem like a good place for a polar bear. Nice long feet. I made him look like he's crying or something, but that was an attempt to kind of isolate this muzzle, which maybe I can fix that so he doesn't look quite like he's crying. It's like, oh no, all my icebergs are melting. Well, you can tell it's a polar bear. Lisa points out that yes, he too may say, really, who says you can't eat puffins? The puffin is like, what? Why are people talking about eating me? What is going on here? I'm going to put him on a rock. I might come back and add some tone to this guy. Let's see. All right. How about this musk ox? Really interesting character. Kind of a big long cow face. And then it has this like, it's almost like, I don't know if it's part of its antlers or it looks almost like it's got its hair parted down the middle, but I think this is all like horn. I think they use it to like bash into each other or something. But it looks kind of like it's got its hair slicked down. So it looks a bit like a wildebeest. It's cute. Very cute. And then it has ears up here. And then a big hump, which kind of goes with this rock. Tempted to turn this rock, which for some reason I made into a hump, but a hemp. Hemp. His beard is being kind of blown by the Arctic winds here. He's covered with this long hair. Looks more like hair than fur. Making him a little less cute. Cute little hooves here, I guess, probably. I'm not sure why I drew this stupid rock here. It is interfering with my composition. There you go. A musk ox. As I said, I think he will be much improved with some toned ink. This page is getting kind of full, but I still have 3 animals to put in here. So this is stuff in the walrus up here. A little bit pug-like. Got the whiskers coming down here too. And then the tusks. Oops, I'm completely off camera, I'm sorry. Yes, you don't want to miss the excitement of this walrus. Sorry. I guess this is like a big flipper, but I can't really see it because it's sort of sitting underneath him here. Here we go, here's a nice big flipper. And they sit with their back feet kind of tucked in there like that. Cute. This composition is pretty weird. Maybe I need to pen is almost out of ink, so it's not really working. I just had the horrible thought that this ink may not be waterproof. All right, I better be careful there. I'm just doing it because I'm not liking the composition, so I was like, oh, let's see if I can try and make a little bit of, add some writing just to change the look of it. Let's see if there's anything else I can do here to improve the situation. I still have another couple of animals to draw, but I was just getting so worried that this thing was looking awful that I need to make myself feel better about it before I can carry on. So I'm thinking that this guy is going to be just a shape. All right, this is a little bit better. Feeling a little less odd about this. So I want to kind of have a lighter, warmer gray on top here. And then I want to give him some more dark down here. It's kind of blowing in the wind here. Okay. Musk, ox. Not two words you usually think of as going together. Musk, ox. Whoops. God, I'm so sorry. I keep kind of blundering off the screen here. All right, let's take a break for a minute. Sue makes an important point. Don't forget polar bears are white. I haven't, and I was planning to not do anything to him at all. I think I'm just going to leave him. Madeline has some good advice. Fix any unevenness of the composition with a partial border. Yeah, I probably will. Need to come down here, 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 and here, and here. But let's do some other, add some other critters. I'm going to add the, so I have two more here. I have the caribou, and I have the Arctic hare. So maybe I'll put a small caribou here. Or maybe I'll put the Arctic hare there. A lot of these animals are black and white, but they're not. You'd think that they would be just white, but a lot of them are not. They have some black bits, like this guy does. It's kind of like a little mustache. He also has kind of surprisingly large feet. He's kind of peering around this little rock here, I guess. Okay. So what appealed to me about the caribou was its insane horns. So maybe I'll have like huge horns going everywhere. That'll help my composition, I think. So I can give him, will that make any sense? Let's just see. All right, and now All right, this is not going well, but that's maybe because my original vision was that his horns would be really insane, so I need to make them insane. All right, this is getting going from incredibly bad to way worse. So let's just go with it, shall we? All right, I'm not sure what I'm doing here, but let's, as I say, let's just stick with it, see where it takes us. All right, now I take Madeline's suggestion. You know what I think? Wouldn't that have been better? Wouldn't that have been better? I don't know what to say. Okay, the border is like National Geographic. That is true. That is true. Maybe I just need to put in a bit of tone back here. It all started to go downhill when I drew that rock. Why did I do that? All right, it's somewhat redeemed. Sometimes you have to pull out these tricks. I still wish I'd done this guy though. Should have drawn me, you idiot. Next time. Admiral. All right. All right, so some of you are liking this. I don't know. I appreciate that. I appreciate your kindness. Not sure that I agree with you yet, but who knows? This is the kind of thing you come back to tomorrow and you go, it wasn't that bad. What were you griping about? You know, so, yeah. All right, you guys. You're all very, very nice. You're nice people. Nicer than I am. Weaver of hats. Arctic hare and the caribou. It's true. Well, I mean, the caribou, I guess, in the end tied it together and it made the polar bear pop out a bit. So, yeah, maybe it's not that bad. Okay. A lot of times I say, don't hate what you make. And I say, you know, it's not nice to sit around critiquing what you've made. It's all this stuff. But it's hard to not do that. So do as I say, not as I do. Because what happens is you get a vision in your mind. I can't say I had a strong vision in my mind here. I had a vision for a while where I was planning to do this gas station with the ice machine. And I thought about that and I thought it was going to look cool. And then in the end I decided it would be boring to draw. So that was where I had that idea in my mind. And then I sort of had this explorer idea in my mind as well. But I didn't really have these animals in my mind. So if I had thought about it just for 5 minutes, I think I would have had an overall point of view in mind. But now I look at it, the more I look at it, the more I go, you know, it's, you know, you're being completely unreasonable and childish. It's fine. I do like how dark that came out. See how nice this is with Sumi? That you can just, I painted that, it was almost like full strength, but you have that texture underneath it. Just makes it nice. Like if that would have been just a pure India ink black, I don't think it would have been as interesting. But, you know, Sumi ink it rewards you. Particularly when you're glazing and you're putting on layers and layers and layers, it will reward you with surprises. And what I love about it also is that it comes out and changes as you let it dry, you know, and it keeps changing, becoming different shades of gray, which is really, yeah, surprising. And you can control it. Could certainly make yourself like little swatches and stuff, but it gives you somewhere to go. That can be the problem sometimes with painting with ink or drawing with ink, is that you feel like, okay, I just have black and I don't have anywhere to go with it the way I might with a color. So you kind of learn to give yourself room to go by layering it and building it up, not just putting it on full strength, but saying, okay, let me just start with like a little nice wash and then start building up that wash. See, this ink, this pen is not really running. That's good. I thought it was going to run. It's running a little bit, but it's not. The words polar bear. Is this pen? I don't know if it's waterproof or not. Meant to be. Water resistant, maybe. See here. See hair? Look hair. I mean, look here. You can see that it's bleeding a tiny bit, I think. Yeah, it's getting a little soft, a little fuzzy, but not disastrous. So this is, look at this pen. See it? See how thin these little hairs are? That is a micro pen. I don't know, so many of these Pentel pens are called sign pens or brush sign pen artist. It's a terrible naming convention, so you don't really know what are you talking about. Is it a brush pen? Is it a sign pen? Is it an artist pen? You know, then you have like this. It's called the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen. Makes a little bit more sense, but they definitely need some help with their naming conventions, like this one. This is gray, and this one is called the Pentel Color Brush Pigment. Sort of makes sense, pigment. And what about this one? This is called, this is a pigment as well. Okay, never mind. What about this? This doesn't even have a name on it. It's different. So these are both gray, but one of them is waterproof and one's not. Anyway. That's why it's worth, you know, checking out your stuff and making like pages where you test all your stuff and write down what it is so you know. Weaver of hats. I admire that you're willing to go live in front of everyone and just draw and have fun. Yes, absolutely. And keep working on it even at times when you aren't completely satisfied with the results. Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't really have a choice. But yeah, I mean, I think how interesting would it be if I was just did it perfectly every time? Not that we'll ever find out, but you know, I think to me, the interesting stuff is when you have to back yourself out of a gnarly situation, and you have to say, how am I going to contend with results that weren't great? How am I going to avoid getting into that in the first place? So part of it is a materials issue where you don't know well enough how your materials are going to react. You know, so I think that's an important part of it, is to say, I want to make sure that I know how, you know, they're going to react in a situation like this. Are they going to mix well with each other? Are they going to start running because they're not really waterproof? How dark are they going to be? Are they going to change when they dry? And also, really importantly, how's the paper? Because paper is I think it's the forgotten, neglected part often of the process. The right paper can make your watercolors look really bright and colorful, can handle your ink, won't bleed through, won't make your pen jump, all those things, you know. And so that's why it's worth always devoting, I usually devote the last couple pages of my sketchbook to just testing stuff out and recording it. So then I can later on go, okay, I'm thinking about using this. How's it going to work? So that's a really important part of it, you know. I think another part of it is also, you can make a lot of sketches in advance. You know, you could do a pencil sketch on your page and then erase it. I don't do that stuff that much because I'm really interested in the process. So I kind of want things to get screwed up because then you back out of it. It's interesting. If I was to do a drawing that I know exactly how it's going to turn out and I know exactly how to do it, what's the point? It's like filling in a crossword puzzle you've done before. I want the mishaps. I want the problems I have to kind of figure out and think about how to get out of. And sometimes you have to beat yourself up in the process too. That can be motivating. It can be demotivating. But I think to me also, when I do beat myself up about something while I'm working on it, I don't think it has larger ramifications. I don't say to myself, I am bad. I might say, things didn't go well today for me. Why though? Not because I'm a bad person or a bad artist or an idiot, but because I didn't think it through. I didn't make a plan. I didn't know what my materials were going to do. Those are all things I can fix. And so the next time when I do it, I can go, okay, I'm coming into a situation now wiser. That thing that didn't turn out the way I wanted it to is a lesson. It's really important to think of it that way. These are lessons. Mistakes are lessons. And if you don't make mistakes, you don't get lessons. So try to think about it that way. That's what I do. That's what I say to myself, which is like, don't be cocky. That's another thing. Like I could say, like, I'm an expert, and therefore when I do it, and then if something goes wrong, I'm like, oh my God, how embarrassing! I'm here in front of all these people, and I totally blew it. I don't want to feel that way, and I don't need to feel that way. Because I know that you know that this is the way the process goes. We're artists. We have all been there. But also, I think we learn more from mistakes. We learn more from the things that didn't go well than we do from the things that did. Because if it goes well, that means you're not advancing. When you make a mistake, that's a sign that you're entering into unknown territory. And that is really... that's where we want to be, the unknown. And that's how you grow and do stuff. So, yeah. Read Ventures, is it Readventures? Says the paper is like the tires on a car. Doesn't matter how fast your car is. Without good tires, you ain't going anywhere fast. I think that's true. I think paper, a lot of times people are afraid to spend money on a good sketchbook, or they buy one because they like the cover. And what then happens is you start working in it and then you say, ugh, I can't do this. Or you fill in a couple pages and then you're just disappointed. And you blame it on drawing or my talent or so forth. But it may be just the wrong tool. I mean, you can have sketchbooks that are for a particular purpose. It might be a sketchbook that's for writing in with a ballpoint pen. It might be a sketchbook that is for drawing with colored pencils, which is different than drawing with graphite, which is different than using watercolor, which is different than drawing with ink, which is different than drawing with like an alcohol marker. Those are all different kinds of materials and they all have different kinds of papers. So unfortunately, a lot of times you can't try out a sketchbook beforehand. So that's why I like mixed media, because mixed media isn't the best at any one of those things, but it's pretty good at most of them. So usually when I do stuff, particularly for, say, Draw With Me, where I don't know, I want a whole sketchbook of Draw With Me, I know that some days I'm going to be doing this, using this medium, sometimes I'm going to be using that, and I want to be prepared for all of them. So mixed media is great. Now, if I was going to do heavily watercolor stuff, I would want a watercolor sketchbook. And I might want a watercolor sketchbook. Some watercolor sketchbooks, you can really only use one side of the page. And if you flip it over, the sizing isn't really right. It's different, and the texture of the page is different on that side than it is on this side. Same with ink, different kinds of ink. India ink works amazingly on Bristol. I've had Bristol sketchbooks, but only because I made them myself, because you can't usually buy Bristol sketchbooks. So you buy a pad and then you bind it yourself in some way, and then you have a Bristol sketchbook. And Bristol is hard. There's a couple of different textures of it, but it's hard and it's not absorbent. So if you use watercolor on it, it'll probably be dull. It may not dry quickly. It's not watercolor paper, but your India ink will be crisp. Your lines will be perfect. There'll be no bleed. It won't absorb into the paper. It will stay nice and black. So there's that. So there's no one thing. You try all the things and you try them out and you learn and you do that. So yeah. Yeah. This is something that I've learned over a long time of doing this, usually because I get sick of doing a particular thing a certain way. So I do it a lot. You know, I'll just draw. I mean, I've told this story before that I, for a long time, just drew with this pen. It's a Uniball pen. Roller, what's it called? A Uniball Vision. It's waterproof, and it's got a very hard nib, hard plastic, and I drew this for years. I really liked it. It was nice and smooth. And then eventually I got sick of it, and I wanted a nib that was responsive, that would flex, so I could do a line that was thin and then it got fatter and then it got... What's nice about this is it's always the same, but sometimes I felt, and I think that came after feeling like I had control. I had control from the pen, and I knew what I could get out of it, and that gave me confidence. So I felt like, okay, I can draw. And then I wanted to go further, you know. And I think it's like a musical instrument, you know. You might start with, you know, an acoustic 6-string guitar, and then you transition to, I don't know, electric guitar, and eventually you've got like guitars with 3 necks and, you know, 18 strings and stuff like that. So, you know, your vision gets bigger as your confidence grows. I think if you figure out what you like and you're working with it, after a while, it can become boring. But also, you're not necessarily challenging yourself. And so you just kind of do the same thing. It's like eating the same sandwich for lunch every day. After all, you get bored with that. You're not growing. You're not challenging yourself. You're not making mistakes. You have control. You have predictable results. But you don't have the discoveries that come from going into new territory. I do it all the time. So this month is a little torturesome for me because here we are, 19 days. I've been drawing with basically the same materials, no color. But when this month is over, I will be in a different place than I was in September. In part because we're doing these drawings and we're spending time together each day, hanging out and talking about these things. In part because I've worked with this limitation of ink wash, a couple of pens, and that has helped me grow within that restriction, like a bonsai tree or something. You know, I don't have everywhere to go, but where I am going, I'm getting deeper and richer and more complex, like a fine wine in a bottle. And then eventually, when I go back to the whole world of art supplies, I'll be different and new. And I can apply some of those same concepts, some of the same learning, some of that same stretching to this new thing. Anyway, that's my sermon for this Sunday. Peace be with you. I will see you tomorrow. Oh, let's just see, what are we doing tomorrow? Rivals. Rivals. What do you think? Rivals. Could be so many different things. Rivals. I was thinking of doing a drawing of my 2 pugs. They're kind of rivals. They're friends, but they're also frenemies. So I could do those as rivals. But we could think of, I don't know, there are people who are rivals. There are obviously sports teams that are rivals, countries that are rivals. So many things. What do you think? I don't know. We'll think about it. I'll see you tomorrow, possibly, and we will do some more exploration. See you then. Bye-bye.